I have Major Mohammed Ali Shah joining me on the broadcast. Good morning, sir, and thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. Now we know that Army Chief is on a two-day visit to Ladakh, wherein he is reviewing all the security situations. What's your take on it?
Well, when the Army Chief goes to Ladakh, of course, it is firstly to reach, let me tell you, to reach Ladakh, a normal soldier, a normal recruit in his early 20s also does a lot of acclimatization, declimatization, but hats off to people who are almost like senior citizens, like our Prime Minister had gone there earlier. Now the Army Chief goes there, and this is without acclimatization, declimatization, mind you that, for all the viewers to know. Now, when China withdraws troops from the border from Gogra and Hot Springs, it actually, what does it mean? It means, are they scared of us? Is it a tactical withdrawal? Or is it something bigger that they are plotting? What is it? Or is it a victory for India? Or should we be celebrating it? And when the Army Chief goes in there, okay, what is the message that goes across to the entire, not just to the nation, but to the world? It's a very, very good message. And Army Chief, when Army Chief goes there, it increases the morale of the soldiers who are there guarding our national frontiers. Also, at the same time, okay, I'll tell you a small story for that. It was the year 2003, and I'll quickly find out the story in like 50 seconds. And one of the Jawans was shot up very badly. And the commanding officer decided to go and have a look. So when this soldier who was wounded grievously was lying down because he was in a bad shape, well, obviously he was shot so badly, right? So when the commanding officer came in there, this soldier got up on his own 2 feet, saluted the commanding officer and said, "Jain Saab." So that was the morale, right? So when you have the chief landing up there, I mean, the morale of the troops firstly goes high. Troops means even the officers, the corps commander, the army commander, everyone for that matter. Now, when Chinese have withdrawn and the army command and the army chief has gone there, well, it conveys a lot to China. See, China has never honored any of our pacts, any of our agreements. Hopefully, they should honor it this time. But as they say, history repeats itself. So we do not know whether they would honor it or not. But yes, most certainly, when the army chief goes in there, it really it gives a strong message, loud and clear. Yeah.
All right, Major Shah, also tell us that there's going to be a total disengagement which is underway, and both the India and China troops are going to complete disengage this Gogra Hot Springs. Now, what is the bigger picture behind it? What are we missing? Is there something that China is planning, or is it something wherein India and China are trying to come to a single table and gather up solutions?
A very good question by you, Fida. See, China's philosophy is what? Their policy is and their tactic is take one step behind. There's no harm in that when everyone is looking. But then take 2 steps forward, which means they have still marched ahead 1 step. And they're too clever, they're too shy, too sly, and they are, if I would use the word slimy that way. So Chinese are not to be trusted. They would say something, they would certainly say something and do something else. And they believe in winning wars without fighting. That is Sun Tzu's philosophy, and he wrote this, he documented this in The Art of War, like the way we have our Chanakya Riti by Kautilya. Similarly, they have the Art of War. Now, so when China actually does a tactical withdrawal, a leopard or a tiger or a cheetah or a lion, a wild cat, takes a few steps behind before it leaves, right? So one can also take it this way. One can also take it like a big victory for India. Well, apart from Vietnam, which gave China a sound thrashing, when China tried acting funny with them, Vietnamese soldiers also had a tactically moved plan. When Chinese army started advancing into Vietnam, the Vietnamese border guards, their paramilitary, the Rangers, started withdrawing. They started moving backwards. The Chinese thought it's their victory. And they kept entering Vietnam. And behind the border, much behind the border, was the Vietnamese regular army sitting and waiting for the Chinese army to arrive. And when the Chinese army came, Vietnamese army gave Chinese army a sound thrashing that they will never forget for the rest of their lives, and they have not forgotten that. And China has not tried any stunts with Vietnam thereafter. So, and China tries to bully all the other nations, or they will try to rather make friends for their ulterior motives. And now it's India. So now, after Vietnam, it is now India. Only India has had the courage to call out China's bluff and to call out the shots with China. So that is the thing. So now let's wait and see whether China will actually adhere to it, or they will slyly come back and man those posts. I'll give you another. I'll correlate with another example with us so that it's easy for everyone to understand. See, everyone is familiar with Kargil War, 1999. When I say Kargil War, people connect with it, even people who were not born at that time, but they know about the Kargil War, right? So, in Kargil time, there was a pact between the Indian soldiers and the Pakistani soldiers that in winters, from both sides, will vacate the post and they will occupy it later on. Once the winters go off. But Pakistan betrayed that trust and they rather went and occupied our posts, and to which we had to flush them out later on from there. Similarly, now China is withdrawing. All right. I hope they stick to that. I am keeping my fingers crossed because they are not to be trusted. But I hope it is a victory for us. And now, another question, Vida. Should the Chinese withdrawal be celebrated by us in India or not? Some people would say it's too early. Some people would say, no, China is in for a bigger game plan. Somebody will say something else. I will say, at least for the time being, it is good news. And when there is good news, it needs to be celebrated.
All
It's
right.
as simple as that. Yes.
All right, Major Shah.